Welcome back to JR Takes, y'all. As always, Ryan and I coming at you with the latest NFL news and Seattle sports news. And Ryan, it's been a couple weeks. I don't think we actually had an episode post Cooper Kupp.
We did not, no.
I guess we'll briefly touch on that just to get it out of the way. I'm stoked with the contract and the, I guess, longevity of the contract. I still think Coop has some stuff left in the tank. Obviously, the Rams did not. Still questioning why they got rid of him and brought in an older player, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm happy with the Cooper Kupp addition.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I think in one of the last podcasts we did, I was like, "Oh, I don't want Cooper Kupp" or something like that, and then of course we ended up getting him, and I look stupid. But the contract is pretty good. I feel like if or you're just comparing it as a 1-to-1 replacement of Tyler Lockett. A little bit younger, a little bit more in the tank, potentially. And I feel like my biggest positive for the move is just as far as a fit for the system we're going to be employing under Kubiak, it is a lot better of a move because he's a great run blocker, and that outside zone scheme we're going to be trying to run is going to require guys who can, set the far edge against corners and safeties and whatnot, and Cooper is still like elite at that. So
right.
I think that's going to help out a lot with the run game this year, in addition to everything he brings as a receiver.
Agreed. And I don't know I actually don't really know what our depth chart looks like at wide receiver right now. Who are our current receivers?
So the top three would be JSN, number one, obviously. Then probably Cooper Kupp is number two. And then third would probably be MVS, Marquez, Valdez, Scantling. And then Jake Bobo would be wide receiver 4.
Right. And that's assuming he makes the squad next year and we don't draft a receiver.
Yeah. All of which to say, I still think we need one more guy in the room. I mean, I know we have Derek Young, but
he kind of has struck me as a special teams guy only. There's a reason why we haven't seen him yet.
I think if he was going to be more than that, we would have seen some sign of it by now. But
right.
we haven't really seen much.
Mm-hmm. As far as the Seahawks free agency moves, have we done much since the Cooper Kupp signing?
We signed a couple depth guys. There was that guy from the Browns that's like a kick return special team specialist guy. Don't remember his name.
We also signed a former San Francisco tight end. What was his name again?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
he's
what is
supposed
his name?
To replace Pharaoh Brown.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy's name, unfortunately, right now, but anyone is going to be better than what we got out of Pharaoh Brown last year. Pharaoh Brown was supposed to be a blocking specialist.
Tight end. I'm actually just looking it up right now on the Seahawks Instagram.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to be mad.
Eric Saubert.
Yeah, that's frustrating because I remember his name from being like Saubert. That's a funny last name. I don't know. But anyways, this guy's a good blocker. Hopefully this time around we get a good blocking tight end that's actually good at blocking, because that's not what we got with Pharaoh Brown. Mm-hmm. My most notable play from Pharaoh Brown was him fumbling a direct handoff that he got against the Bears for some reason. So
this guy that was on the 49ers?
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
And he's a Kubiak guy. He played under Clint Kubiak, so I think that's part of why we made that move. I feel like I'm learning more this offseason that it is kind of crucial to get guys that fit into your scheme. MVS, for example, played with Kubiak a little bit last season with the Saints.
Right.
So they're clearly going after guys that they either think or have examples of the past of like working under this system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got to do a shout out to the free agency pickup of River Craycraft. He was a
Coog.
He was a Coog when I was there. He's like
I recognize that name. Yeah.
I think he's like 30. Now,
yeah, something like that. He's been in the league for a minute.
Is he on the Dolphins? Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's definitely like he might not make the team.
Yeah.
But yeah.
John Schneider's like, I will assemble the whitest wide receiver room you've ever seen. There's nothing you can do to stop me.
Yeah, I guess since we I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of splashes in free agency. I mean, I guess the last guy we're all waiting on as far as a league's perspective is concerned is Aaron Rodgers. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't give two shits about that whole debacle anymore, because it's like you're either going to sign with the Steelers or you're going to retire. Those are your only two options.
Yeah, I think it's funny that the Steelers find themselves in this situation from like the DK Metcalf trade perspective, where like there was that leak that he wanted, warm weather team that competes and has a stable quarterback room. And right now his quarterback is Mason Rudolph. So like that's already looking like a wash there. And even if they get Rodgers, like it's not like he was even a top 12 guy last year. So
this is true, but he did kind of have a good end to his season, and I'm starting to wonder if that's due to the healing of the Achilles injury.
Could be. I mean, we saw how fucking terrible Kirk Cousins was coming off an Achilles, so it's no joke. But yeah, I'm so glad we're not in a situation where we are dealing with the Aaron Rodgers offseason saga, because I feel like this is like the 5th year in a row of it. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but only by a little bit, I would say.
Yeah.
Even going back to his last couple years in Green Bay, I feel like ever since they drafted Jordan Love, he's just been like about his career.
Yeah, he's been a little sensitive about this whole situation.
What do you think of Russ going to the Giants? Big Blue.
I don't know. It kind of just depends on if they decide to draft Shador. Russ and Jameis Winston, I mean, and Tommy DeVito, can you like name more of a meme group of quarterbacks?
Probably their quarterbacks last year. Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, and Danny Diapers.
Yeah, but we at least have like a bunch of funny content about Russ and Jameis Winston.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Morons.
Yeah, no.
Was he something dangerous?
It was like the Giants' current quarterback room, and it was that video, and then it was Jameis Winston doing that shit, and then Tommy DeVito doing the cutlets thing. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's there's a really high potential for it to be a pretty sad way for Russ's career to go out, because I don't think anyone is taking the Giants to even make the playoffs. But you never know. If he does have success with them, that would really be quite the story. I think they're going to draft Travis Hunter if he's there, personally. I think if they took Shador in the first round, that would be just dumb. But I mean, teams do dumb things all the time, so
yeah,
I will definitely not rule that out.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think the Giants, I still think they're going to take Shador. I would be surprised if they neglected their quarterback room once again, because I mean, I saw the last month Russell played, and I'm like, I kind of think his career might be over, but who knows? Who knows if he has a little bit of the Houdini left in him.
Well, everything else aside, he's 37, and
right.
He's a mobile quarterback. That was his whole career. So guys of that category don't normally play till much less after 40, but even to 40. So, I mean, even Aaron Rodgers, I would say he was a mobile, scrambling type quarterback. And I mean, first year, granted, as you said, there was the Achilles injury, but he clearly was not moving around all that great last season. So it's hard to keep playing that way successfully as you age. So Giants got to address that at some point, but I feel like just if I were their GM, I would just want to get the best player. And there hasn't been a player like Travis Hunter coming out since I've watched football, really, that can play. I mean, on a lot of draft boards, he's the number one corner, and on a lot of draft boards as well, he's like a top 2 receiver. So a lot of times listed as the number 1 receiver as well.
My only thing with Travis Hunter is yeah, that's great that he can play both positions, but it's not like he was doing that in the SEC. So
it's true.
I think we should pump the brakes on generational type player until we see him do generational type things.
We'll see what he can do at the next level for sure. I think he's going to be a full-time corner where you have like a few plays where he comes out as receiver, like maybe 10, 15 snaps. I think that makes the most sense. But yeah, it's a mystery box. You never know until guys get in the NFL.
Yeah. Do you just want to go ahead and get into our mock draft?
Yeah. Do you have the ability to pull them up, Colby, or what are we thinking here for this segment?
Yeah, I got them right here.
You want to get this thing started?
Yes. So, as Ryan just mentioned, I took 4 offensive linemen to start off this draft, and I think that's a reflection of how angry I've been watching the fucking Mariners over the past week, addressing none of their issues and looking like the exact same goddamn team, except maybe worse. So I am just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to draft only offensive linemen because that's what I want them to do. And my first pick at 18, I got a trade offer from the Chargers and traded down, got their 4th round pick. So, you know, I'm Mr. Value over here. And I went with Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. I keep hearing people bitching and moaning about us taking him too high at 18. I don't care. If this guy has the athletic ability to bounce around the line and plug him in.
You can play like every position
in different spots, then we're drafting him. I don't care. I'm so sick of watching our fucking offensive line get dominated, give up 2 safeties week 1. Like, no. So I went with Gray Zabel with my first pick, the 22nd pick overall in the draft, and then add a little 4th rounder in that with the Chargers. And do you want me to just do all my picks?
Sure.
Okay, so. And then at pick 50, I took offensive tackle Josh Connolly Jr. Kind of the same deal when I was reading his notes. And granted, I'm not going to pretend like I'm some offensive line analyst. I go about as far as the player notes are concerned, what they tell me, and then I make my decision. So offensive tackle out of Oregon, I believe they said he was a very athletic prospect, pretty NFL ready. Sort of the same deal with Jonah Savilnea. Is that how you pronounce his name?
I'll take this one here. Jonah Savinea, yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah, there's no L.
I think it's Savinea.
But yeah.
That's how I'm going to say it because I took him too. But anyways, go on.
I took him just because I've seen him go to the Seahawks in other people's mocks and also his player notes. He seems like a NFL-ready prospect. So I went with him. And then at 82, I took offensive center out of Georgia, Jared Wilson. Said he had only 1 year of starting play at Georgia. So he's a pretty raw talent. But you know what? We need the resources to be pumped into this position, or positions, I guess, as the offensive line as a whole. So I went with him. And then at 92, I took Tez Johnson, receiver out of Oregon. I figured he could potentially play the slot. I know he's a smaller guy, but I think if we took JSN in the first round, and like I expect him to be an X wide receiver. So, that was what I decided to go with Tez at the 92. I just am not a believer in taking a receiver with our first pick. That just seems silly to me. If we're gonna preach that we want to run the ball and play defense.
Yeah, those are all fair points. I've had very similar mock drafts. I probably did about like 15 to prepare for this. I had several that were 4 offensive linemen and 1 other player, so that's why I was laughing because I was like, no, I just know John isn't going to do that, so I'm going to try to just do a scenario where we don't make any trades and pick best player available / need. Realistically, my desire for this draft is to do exactly what you did and trade back a little bit in the first round and take Gray Zabel before he goes. I don't care if they take him at 18, to be honest. He's really...
I don't really either. I just knew no one else was going to take him.
Yeah, people will call it a reach, but like, who gives a fuck? We need the player and he's good. But I kind of took the perspective of like, let's say the board falls this way and this person is there, like, I think you got to take him. So I have Mike Green, edge out of Marshall, going first off the board. This guy destroyed the Senior Bowl, had the highlight of the whole event, basically just burying a tackle for the sack. And on top of that was productive. He probably, I mean, most people would say I think he is a top 10 talent in this draft. The reason why this could ever even happen, and it's not even super likely that he would be there, is that he's got some off-the-field concerns, some pretty not good allegations from his past. So you're taking a bit of a risk that he can not be a piece of shit. But I do think Seattle is a place where we've kind of fostered some guys with not the greatest background in the past. Granted, that was under Pete, but I digress. That would give us, I think, one of the best edge rooms in the league with the addition that we got from the Cowboys. Moving on to round 2, I really like Jaden Higgins. I think there's an outside chance he goes in the first round.
I could have taken him with my second pick, but I decided to go Lion still.
Yeah, he's someone that had a bad quarterback and still produced rather well. And on top of that, he has like one of the best. Have you heard of relative athletic score? It kind of takes your height, weight, and all your measurables at the combine and compares them to every prospect that's gone through the combine. This guy was in like the top 1%. Not just because he is a burner. I think he ran in the 4.4, so he's fast. Not like, a Tariq Woolen or DK fast, but adequate speed for an outside guy. I believe he's like 6 foot something. He's tall. He's like 6'3", 6'4". And he would kind of just bring a different element to the wide receiver group, maybe even be wide receiver 2 or 3 in this offense, depending on the kind of role we envision for Kupp. I just think that would make this receiver room significantly better immediately.
Yeah.
Jaden Higgins, like a deep ball, like, is that kind of his wide receiver? Like what he's
I mean, that's not like what he lived and died off of. He's a pretty decent route runner. He can be a deep threat because of his size and speed, but he's kind of an all-around, just a solid prospect, not necessarily like, someone like a Jalen Hyatt coming out that only caught deep balls and then didn't catch anything in the NFL. Moving on, I actually think corner is a under-discussed need on this team, with Tariq Woolen likely going to get a massive payday from someone next season. Could be us. I think if we get someone like Trey Amos, he's got good size, like 6'1", 190, and a better like tackler, run defender.
I almost took him too. That's funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just someone I like a lot. We don't need him, but I think, looking 2-3 years down the road, this could be a move that helps us out a lot.
Well, especially because we lost Trey Brown too. I mean,
Yeah.
I know Trey Brown wasn't out there like being a ball hawk making plays, but he was still like a solid
Yeah,
player.
I think our number 3 corner right now is like Josh Joby, who did pretty good for us last year. But I mean, Trey Amos is a hell of a lot more talented than Josh Joby. No offense. So in this scenario, first 2 days of the draft, or I guess first day and a half of the draft, you'd have Seahawks fans absolutely shitting their pants. We haven't addressed the O-line. What are you doing, John? But round 3 is where we make the comeback in that perspective. So I'm taking Jonah Ryan, however you say it, out of Arizona. He's listed as a tackle, but every bio I read pretty much said that he has the flexibility to play guard as well. NFL.com said, and I quote, I believe, he will find a career as a starter at guard or tackle. So I see that, and I'm like, great, there's our Abe Lucas insurance, and there's someone that hopefully is better at guard than Anthony Bradford.
Damn, am I really shitty at being a GM? I took him at 52, and you took him at 82?
Well, you used a different site, and they have different draft boards, so the
Okay.
players are like, I noticed on a Pro Football whatever network, they have Mike Green as like the 34th prospect, but then Pro Football Focus has him as I think the number 12. It says on there.
I feel like he's got a lot going against him. His name is Mike Green, which isn't flashy, and then he went to Marshall, so it's like I could kind of see how he could fall.
Yeah, I mean, plus the concerns off the field
Yeah,
with him.
that too. So.
And then following up, I really did want to get Jared Wilson as well, but in this draft, he was gone at like a couple picks before here.
Mm-hmm.
So I took his teammate in Tate Ratledge. One of the most athletic guards in this draft class, absolutely blew up the combine and, was playing at a big school, so was used to playing against top-level competition on the D-line. I kind of look at it as, in terms of our interior offensive line, like, I don't even care if we end up starting Bradford and Christian Hayes and Oluwatimi next season. I want to bring the best possible competition we have for those players and just let the best player win. And I think as long as you're making at least 2 selections in this draft, you can make that happen. Because, the prospect of playing like a virtually all rookie offensive line, even if they're really talented, it is scary. So I think Seahawks fans at this point are going to have to get a little comfortable with one of the 3 of Olu, Christian Haynes, and Anthony Bradford, or Mike or Sato Lomea. One of those players is going to be starting on this line minimum. Well,
and I think what you just said there, I think that explains why we were all collectively as Seahawks fans, the majority of us, annoyed that he didn't sign any of the 8 offensive linemen that were available.
Yeah.
Because it's like drafting up for need instead of drafting the best player, that's like the same thing as overpaying for a guy. Like, you have to do one or the other if you want to fix the problem. Like, it just has to happen. So
I agree. Yeah, I was furious when Will Freeze signed with the Vikings because we had like the 3rd most cap space in the league at the time of that move, and we could have found a way to make it happen. I've heard some concern that there was like a physical he didn't want to do, or something that we wanted him to do. I don't know. We'll never really know. But the bottom line is, here we are another year through free agency without getting one of the top interior offensive linemen.
And that's why I drafted all linemen, because I'm not going to sit here and watch the Seahawks give like 80 sacks next year for Sam Darnold and then just be like, oh yeah, the team looks the same but worse. Like,
yeah,
I can't handle that.
Oh, and that's
two teams
something
in Seattle doing that.
The line was horrible last year, and all things considered, Gino did a pretty good job of masking how bad they were at times, at the least. I think that's like the lowest you could say about him. I thought he did pretty good, but Sam Darnold last year had a much better season, but as his protection was breaking down towards the end of the year, he was doing worse, comparatively speaking, under duress than Gino was doing. So if you just throw out the same piece of shit offensive line with this quarterback that, has some better attributes, but, under duress is not one of them, I don't know how you expect to be a better team. So it has to be addressed. We got to draft some fucking linemen, man. I even if we take 5 in our first 5 picks, like, I'll be like, well, that's weird, but someone in this group has got to be better than what we have.
Yeah, I will be thrilled if we do that, honestly. Like, you can't the only issue I'll have is if we only take offensive linemen, which we won't do that, but like then I'll be like, okay, that's a little weird and what are we doing? But like, we really need to like pump all the resources into that position. I feel very strongly about that.
Yeah, and I think we need to do it within the first 3 rounds like we were just showing. Like, I don't want more of these like guys that fell to the 4th or 5th. They fell for a reason most of the time if they're linemen, and that's what we already have.
And look, yeah, and I was just going to say, look at the linemen we currently have. They fell, and guess what? They weren't good enough to start over Laken Tomlinson and I forget the other guy's name, Bradford.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, that's not the answer. So let's prioritize.
And that's why I wanted to just do the first couple rounds mock draft, because we have so many picks this year. If we did the full mock draft, and we'll probably do one before the draft comes up.
I think we should do like a full 32 first round like we do every year. Like
yeah.
Maybe next week or something.
I'm down for that.
During the podcast? Or would that be kind of weird?
We could. That could be kind of fun.
That would be probably the whole podcast.
Yeah, be good content.
That'd be fun.
We got to find some way to fill up podcasts before the draft gets here. But the point I was trying to make is once you get past round 3, we still have like 5 or 6 more picks, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If you take care of the offensive line whole before then, you just take the best player left on your board with each one of those remaining picks.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's like a linebacker, a safety, like players that you don't necessarily think we need, like, hey, if they come in here and they're better than the guy that's starting, like, your team is better. So,
Right.
Like, that's also why I was frustrated we didn't sign a lineman, because you would like to be in the situation where going into the draft, you don't have a glaring need that you feel like you need to overdraft. That's how you get guys like LJ Collier, you know?
Right.
So I think we're in a pretty good spot flexibility-wise, but the obvious hole is in the middle of the line, and they got to do something.
Agreed. Yeah. I don't have a whole too much else for this episode. I just wanted to pound the point that I want linemen, and that's really all I want. There was even some moments where I could have taken some high-level names on the defensive line position, which I wouldn't even I would love if we did that instead of like doing what I did. But I mean, really, it's gonna come down to that 3rd round, I think, because I would honestly be shocked if we did take a lineman with our first pick, just because John Schneider. Did you hear him say the other day that this isn't a draft for centers? Like, he's already chalking it up as there are none out there.
Well, and that's frustrating because Gray Zabel can play center. And he might be a tackle in the league. Like, he could play every spot.
I'm going to be so pissed if we don't take him and then he becomes a fucking SAR. Like
Creed Humphrey?
Yeah. It's going to make me sick.
Yeah, that will be ugly. Yeah, and, like, we don't even really need to take someone like Mike Green because, I mean, we do have DeMarcus Lawrence on a, multi-year deal on top of the guys we've gotten in the second rounds the last few years, on top of having Uchenna for a couple of years. So... But that's the thing that is nice about being in that spot with a position group like that is you don't need this person, but they're a really good talent, and you just take them because they're a good player, not because of where they play. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's definitely making draft season really exciting now that we've made the DK and Geno trades, though, because we have so many picks. Like, they could move up in the draft for all we know and take someone that we're not even expecting, like a Membu, I doubt. I mean, he might be a top 4 pick after the combine. So
yeah, he's not going to fall out of the top 10. I don't think.
No way. No, it was already like, there was lots of rumors that he was gonna be a first-round pick, like maybe a mid-rounder, and then combine hit, and it was just like, yeah, he might be the number 1 lineman taken. Mm-hmm. So
in these mock drafts that you guys are doing, is it all showing that Cam Ward is going in like?
He went number 1 to the Titans.
Yeah, I don't see any mock draft that doesn't have Cam Ward at number 1.
It's almost like certain.
Just 101.
Yeah.
It's. I heard through the grapevine from like different podcasts I'm listening to that he had like a dinner.
I was about to bring that
the
up.
whole staff, and they like hit it off, and they're like in love or whatever.
It's kind of cool being like a part of a quarterback. Like, if you're a quarterback in a shitty, like, you're like, I'm just gonna be 101.
Yeah.
Like,
the thing is, though,
I guess that's pressure too.
I thought Cam Ward was good 2 years ago when he was thinking about maybe coming out of the draft, but he was like a 5th rounder in mock drafts in 2023.
He kind of went the same route that Michael Penix went, because Michael Penix could have gone into the draft the year before he did, but he probably would have gone in like the 3rd round. Whereas he comes back, goes to the national championship, and bam,
top 10
he's
pick.
108.
Yeah.
So Cam Ward kind of did the same thing. He like transferred to Miami, played really well. They didn't have as much success, obviously, but he still did really good. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I think Shedeur Sanders, where he ends up going, is going to be really interesting because I could see him being a top 10 pick. I could see him falling to the 2nd round. Like, both those things.
I hope he does.
Those things seem equally likely
Humble
to me.
his ass a little bit.
And then I think Jackson Dart is most people's QB3. I'm not super interested in him. I know we met with him at the combine, but I kind of Dart. It is a good name, but I don't know. He doesn't have enough arm for me in my opinion. So
doesn't have a long dart.
No, I mean for being a dart guy, he doesn't really have much of a dart thrower.
Did he go to Dartmouth?
That'd be too perfect.
But yeah, in all honesty, this is pretty much where I'm ready to wrap things up. If you are, that's just kind of, we haven't had a whole lot going on with the NFL free agency. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers is kind of that last big name we have left to sign, or not we, but a team, and then the Mariners are just not going to be talked about. So.
I love how the Mariners have gone from like a focal point of this podcast to just demoted to like the dustbin of talking points.
Yeah, I just don't even have the energy to like give.
Yeah,
them
I'm
the time
sad
of
that
day.
they're on our table.
Yeah, this is the most publicity they get.
Yeah, anywho, that's pretty much all I had as well. Super excited for the draft. Stoked that it's only like less than 4 weeks away. And I think we should stream it again this year. It was super fun last year when we did that.
Yeah,
Got
I'm
a few
definitely down to do
subs
that.
out of it, so yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
All right, well, thanks for stopping by, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yep. See you next time.